everyone. I am Mudirakat Olatudu Oshudia. I'm a teacher and a businesswoman. I welcome you all to the WBC show, Women Building Communities show. Today, our discussion is based on emotional abuse and neglect in parenting. But before we proceed, I would like to call on our regular panelists to introduce themselves. Sisters, can you introduce yourselves, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rashida Hassan, and I'm a youth worker and an administrator and a media consultant. And it's a pleasure to be here again today.
Good morning. My name is Sherifat Onatade. I am not new here. I appear here like almost every time we show. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. As I've said earlier, that we will be discussing emotional abuse and neglect. We'll be talking about the effects of emotional abuse on children, or maybe teenagers, or maybe young adults and adults. Sister Rashida, have you got any experience, or maybe you have any stories to share on how some people have been emotionally abused? Sometimes we use some wrong words on one another. We could be abused in emotionally abused in different forms. I don't know if you have any stories or experience that you got that you can share with us. Thank you.
Well, I maybe not stories, but I guess we all have stories, because emotionally abusing children, especially our own children, we would have gone through it one way or the other. Now, is it the way it is with individual, varies. A lot of the things we do unconsciously as parents and sometimes as older people can be categorized as actually emotional abuse to children. For instance, a child is talking, they want to express themselves, and you shut them up. You don't want to listen to them. You don't talk when an older person is talking. Now, I'm very careful to say this, because we don't want to mix things up. We don't want to undermine the importance of teaching children to be respectful, or we don't want to undermine the concept of child rearing, that is putting children into showing them what is right and what is not. So we don't want to mix those two things up. But at the same time, a lot of time, parents can make a child to become actually someone who lacks confidence in themselves, just out of the fact that we engage in unconscious emotional abuse. Now, there are the conscious ones. People who deliberately, would speak down on a child, and then or make the child feel that they are not adequate, comparing children to other people, making them, the concept of emotional abuse is that the child is broken from within, or the child is not able to, develop the confidence that ordinarily they should have growing up, or the child that and a lot of time emotional abuse is not, you don't see it physically. You can, it's different from when you physically abuse a child. You beat them up, you manhandle them, you don't give them food, or you don't feed them well, or you restrict them in terms of what they can, the kind of food they can eat, just because you want to punish them. and all those kind of things. Those are physical things that people can see. And even you, as you're doing it, you already know you're actually doing that to make the child or the young person feel some kind of pain. But emotional abuse, a lot of time, it's in the things we say, in our reaction to the children, the way we relate with them. And it's something that we can slip into without even knowing. As in, you just, because maybe just out of wanting to be strict, out of wanting to bring up the child properly, then we can, get into it. So there are numerous examples that we can give, but when it becomes something that is perpetuated, that's when it becomes a serious abuse and it affects the children or the young person.
Thank you, sister. Before I move on, I would like to say to our viewers that I want to leave the floor open to everyone. So if you have any contribution to make as the discussion go on, you can please chip in your ideas or opinions or experiences. Just click on the finger icon, then I'll let you in to make your contributions. Thank you. And then I want to go to Sister Sharifa. Sister Sharifa, have you got any experience or maybe any examples of how some children or young adults have been emotionally abused?
Oh, thank you, Sister Amadero. Well, maybe during the course of the discussion I can, but at the moment I can't think of any specific one. But let's see what emotional abuse is. I know there it has been kind of explained and defined in Sister Rashida's explanation earlier, but I want to say emotional abuse is any type of abuse that involves a continual emotional mistreatment of a child. It's sometimes called psychological abuse, and it can involve deliberately trying to scare someone or humiliate them, or isolating them, or not letting them meet, other people that they would have loved to be with. So it's often a part of other kinds of abuse, which means it can be very difficult to spot the signs or tell the difference between emotional abuse and other types. So it can also happen on its own. Now, we have all been abused emotionally. There's no doubt about that. Even at the moment, I don't know whether I don't want to sound rude, but I think I better say this. I'm not in a good mood this morning. You would have noticed, I don't know, I'm not in a good mood. So I'm not saying I'm emotionally abused, but some things it happens now and then, things happen in our lives, and sometimes you feel like you're being let down, sometimes by people close to you, So it's something that is very serious when it's happening to children. I guess today's topic is about
children and young people.
How it affects children. So, and we have to be able to know the signs so that we can follow up and take the right step to help the children involved.
Thank you. We're also talking about neglect, as in emotional abuse and neglect. They are somehow related. There is this thing that is common in Nigeria. Some parents who feel maybe out of poverty, they don't have the means to provide the basic needs of their children. So they believe if they could find someone or people that can help them take care of their children, letting their children serve as house helps to those people, and believing that they will be okay. And some of them, the one that is even common now in Nigeria is they send the children to other people, having the intention that they will help them to send the children to school. The children will go to school, and they don't even bother to check the welfare of the children. They don't bother to see. So far, the children say, oh, Mama, Mommy, I'm going to school. They are sent into school. They have registered the children to school. That is all they care about. So do you think, I don't know, sometimes they might be doing it intentionally or unintentionally. I cannot really say. But to me, I see that as neglect. Because these people, they are not even, that might not even be their relatives. And some even send to their relatives. But for the fact that you're not even checking on the welfare of the children, you believe that those people you sent them to, they are just, they are taking care of your children. They are doing your own responsibilities for you. So I see that as neglect. What advice do you have for parents and even the guardians, the people that are taking care of these children? What advice do you have for them? Because I've realized that most of these children are emotionally abused. Some of them are even sexually abused. Physically, that one is even common. Sorry, something interrupted me. So what advice do you have for such people? Thank you. For such parents.
You see, before we even start talking about advice, I think it's very important for us to understand what it means to neglect a child. So the example, what you just described is just an example of neglect, which is where you hand over your responsibility for your child or your children to someone else, and without looking back, you don't even bother to, check about their welfare. You feel that doing that is, once these people you feel grateful that somebody has taken the responsibility of you. And it often happens when people feel that they are not able to take care of their own responsibility, and they just want to, it's like an escapist approach to dealing with the problem of everyday life, which is the problem of working hard or being able to provide for your children. Some people work very hard, yet they don't have the means, the appropriate means to actually take care of the needs of their children. But that does not mean that you now neglect such children, or you just dump them on someone else. So there are other types of neglects. There are neglects where you actually have the children with you. They are with you, but you even have the means to take care of them. So it's not as if you don't have the means to take care of them, but you feel that there are much more important things. A lot of times, some people believe that once you've taken care of the child's everyday need, like food, clothing, and a place to sleep, then that's fine. I've fulfilled my responsibility. And they forget the emotional part of it. Some people go out of their house even without seeing their children, for weeks, and they're in the same house. Do you understand? That's neglect, and that's emotional abuse. It's a neglect that would result in, emotional abuse for the children. You are in the house with your child. Sometimes you don't even, they come home from school. You've not asked how school was. You think you're too busy. I mean, I've got these meetings, and we all do it. Sometimes we get carried away with the runnings of the life, with what we need to do, and the things that we feel are so important. The Yorubas have a saying. They say that I don't know if I can translate it very well. I'm not sure if I'm a good, but they said omotako lomagbeleta kota. That is the child that you did not, or you did not actually train appropriately. Yeah, it's the one that's going to sell the house that you built. Ko and ko in Yoruba, it sounds the same, although they have different meanings. But so if you don't teach a child, then you don't give them the right kind of support and emotional need, balance that they require. One way or the other, at some point in your life, you're going to regret it. But a lot of time we tend to forget that, and we neglect our responsibility, invariably neglecting our children. So that is another another type of neglect. And there is also the neglect of people who actually take the responsibility of other people, of other people's children, either voluntarily, or sometimes some people don't even take their children to people to take care of. Sometimes life just happen. For instance, somebody dies and they leave behind children and young people, and a family member is asked to take care of the responsibility of these children. And they don't feel, they feel that just because those children are not directly their own birth children, then their sense of responsibility towards them is very much reduced. And in such instances, you have cases of abuse, you have cases of neglect, where they just feel, oh, I've fulfilled some righteousness. I've given the child a home, I feed them. I'm not the one that gave birth to them, and I've done all this much for them, so they don't really need much again. And they don't pay attention to those children. So we have a lot, different levels and different types of neglect that young people, children face. Now, that is talking about the cause of it. The consequence of it is very grave, and we don't really, a lot of time we tend to overlook those consequences. And those consequences now result in very serious situation in the society. And that's why you have children who go into crime, children who become, who lose track of focus in life, children who get into drugs just to escape, a lot of, vices, societal vices as a result of neglect and emotional abuse. So we as adults, whether we are the parents, whether we are the guardian, whether we are someone who took responsibility, whether we are forced to take the responsibility, whether the responsibility comes on us because we are the natural parents of the children, it's very important for us to ask ourselves a question. At some point, we're also children. How did you grow up? Have there not been points in your life where you just need someone to hug you, or just someone to listen to what you have said? I'm sure every single one of us have gone through those periods. When we go through them, when we try to reflect and remember those times, ask yourself, how did you feel? Then you can begin to understand how those children must be feeling.
Yeah.
Neglect. I think that's one step that I would say. I will leave other people to say things, and then, yeah.
Thank you so much. What about Sister Sharifa? Have you got anything to say on that? Any advice, any examples?
Well, one thing for sure is, as father, as mother, we are the best parents to our children. Leaving the responsibility to another person is like we are avoiding our responsibility, and well, we will pay for it somehow we pay for it, because you're not there to be sure that these children are getting what they need, not only food, shelter, not only the basic needs of life. Parenting requires a lot more than that. We, apart from giving them education, answering their questions when I'm coming.
Make sure you don't neglect.
Please give him sweets. Give him or has.
No, bring her home. Let her come on there.
Dragging me to the kitchen, I guess.
Yeah, just make your point and go and drag to the kitchen.
Emotional neglect is it's a big deal. As Sister Rashida rightly said, if you're not there to hold them when they need that, to be held, we're not there to console them when they are sad. Something happened Friday or Thursday, can't be too sure. One of my children in the morning was looking for his homework. Like, he was looking and he has searched everywhere because I was really with other children. I was just saying, go and find it, go and check the living room, go back and check on it could be under the sofa. I was just giving direction. I didn't help him physically. You understand? I was just giving him advice of where to search.
Okay.
And for like 1 hour, he was still sad because he couldn't find it. Until I said, okay, let me leave every other thing I was doing. Let me help him. Within 2 minutes, I found it. Then he held me. He held me so tight. He's 10. He held me like, Mommy, I love you so much. Mommy, you never let me down. Mommy, I thank you.
Look at that.
See it in him. I was like, because he felt he would never ever be able to see it, to find it, and you
get in trouble.
A big trouble when it gets to school. That's just one example. Please give me 1 second. Let me.
Yeah, please. And you go. And I think I want to say something on that because what you said, brings into the discussion a very important aspect, and that is the issue of sometimes we don't deliberately neglect. But because we have other children, because we are attending to other children, or we are attending to other situations that we feel is equally important. I mean, nobody would say it's not important for you to look after other children. Those other children needed you at that time. So if you had left them to attend to him.
Imagine if I was never there. Maybe I've gone to early morning.
Exactly.
Never around. What would have happened?
Yeah, that balance.
Into pieces. And there's something that came to my mind that morning. I was like, if this child happened to be, in fact, he said, Mommy, I don't want to go to school today. I said, you have to go. God. I'm not at home. No one is going to be at home. You have to go to that school. In fact, he goes by himself ordinarily, usually. Then I said, I'll personally take you to school. I'll make sure you go to school. Then I was not like, if this boy happens to be in secondary school, that he goes by himself, I never care to go with him. This will definitely happen. He will leave the house, then he will start to hang around for the whole of the day. Yeah, that has happened to a lot of our teenagers because he's not feeling confident about going to that school.
I would give another example because this is very important. A lot of time, I know it's very difficult for parents, especially if you have more than one child, you have like 2-3 children, and you are having to navigate between them. And also you have in our own African setup where we have extended families, and you want to make sure you don't neglect them also. You give them equal attention. You have extended family children living with you, and you've got your own child. You host people who come around and all that. There is an example I have. I have one of my daughters who used to be very, very, vocal. She was I would say she was the friendless, the one that is also always very friendly with everyone. She makes friends easily. She's very cool around people, and we're all always complimenting the fact that, oh, she's so good at making friends and being nice to people and all that. Then all of a sudden, we noticed that, she became almost silent, not as free as she would ordinarily be with other people. She would keep quiet, things that ordinarily she would talk about or she would make comments on. She stopped, doing all those things. We actually noticed. We noticed because we're parents who were there and who pay attention. Do you understand? But however, despite that, I was so shocked the day I just had her in the kitchen, and I decided to just chat her up to find out what was going on. I was like, oh, you've changed, you used to be this, you used to be that. And my daughter faced me and said, Mommy, you caused it. I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean? How did I cause it? Said, well, sometimes, a lot of time when things happen between me and people who come to our house and I want to talk, you're always telling me to shut up and that I should let those people talk. You always give priority to other people, when they are in our house and I'm with them. And things happen a lot of time. I know I'm not wrong, but you are supporting those people and you're making it seem as if I'm always wrong. So in order not to be wrong, I have to keep quiet. I was shocked. That day I felt and I know, and I asked her, I said, give me instances. And she gave me instances. In those instances, I actually believed I was doing the right thing. That is, somebody has come to visit, you need to honor your visitor. This person has done something that is, yes, you are not happy with it, but because you are the host, you need to show, I thought I was teaching her that. Do you understand? But apparently, because I wasn't there when those things happen, I just happened to come around as a parent and I saw, okay, 2 children are having this issue. One is my child, the other is not, but it's somebody who has visited my house. And I just thought, yeah, the best thing is for my child to be the one to honor a visitor by not, claiming too much right. I don't think that was the wrong thing to do. I thought that was, balancing and ensuring that I gave the right attitude to somebody that I am hosting for a period of time. But then it had that effect on my child. And she gave 1, 2, 3, several instances. And I was speechless. I was like, wow, well, I had to like now explain to her that, you see, this is my thinking for doing that. And then when I had to explain to her, this is my thinking. This is what I had in my mind when I did this with you. Now, imagine if I did not have that opportunity to have a conversation with her in the kitchen and I raised the issue. And imagine if I had not even noticed that, okay, this child used to be like this, and then she is now like this. And a lot of us, we miss those opportunities. We miss it. We don't see it. We just feel that, oh, the children are there, they're okay, they're there, they're safe. They've not had any kind of accident in school. They have eaten. We've made sure there's enough food in the house. The house is there is, the house is not cold. Everywhere is warm. The children, and we feel we've done everything. We're okay. See, Allah says we are vicegerents and we are a shepherd. You understand? When he gives us as adult, as parents, as people who give birth, as people who rear children. So it's not about just giving birth. Even if you don't give birth, the children around you, the ones that you have responsibility for, people that you are older than and you have to give guidance to, you are a shepherd for them. That is what Allah says. It is a responsibility that Allah has placed on us. So it's not something that willingly we can do whether we like or we don't like. That it is a responsibility that Allah has placed on us, and it comes with certain commitment level. And those commitments, once we fail on them, then we are failing the children. We don't pay attention. We feel, I've done this. Of course, we are not perfect like Allah. So we would make mistakes. We would do things in a way that maybe we could have done it better. But we always need to check ourselves and be sure that we're doing it to the best of our abilities. And that is what a lot of time, most parents, most of us, we don't do. And I guess that's one of the reasons we are having this discussion today. Because
Thank you, Sister Rashida. Thank you. I also noticed that while we're trying as much as possible not to neglect our children in some ways, I mean, we're trying to, maybe we're being overprotective of them. So some parents do try to intervene in their marriages. I mean, when they become adults. So trying to control their finances. And trying to they want to know, I mean, being inquisitive, although it is good to be inquisitive sometimes, but I think we're doing it. I mean, it is getting too much. For some people, it is not actually everybody that does that, but I have seen examples of where the mother wants to know how our daughter's husband.
You know what, sister? Sister Andrea? I think that's what this aspect of the discussion you are raising.
Wait. My question now is, my question now is, are we doing the right thing? Are we actually trying not to neglect them completely, or we're trying to, and as a result, it leads to emotional abuse on the children?
My perception of this. You see, that topic about, the way parents deal with in-laws of their, children, I think it's an entirely different, separate topic that we as women, discussing.
I know.
We can have a whole session on, but we're talking, those children you are referring to now, they are no longer children. So in the first instance, it's because we do not,
teenagers, young adults.
We are talking about young people and teenagers here. But by the time somebody is talking about their children's husband or their children's fiancé, they have become adults. So it's a different.
I'm talking about parents now. You get?
Yeah, I know. Understand what you are saying, but what I'm saying is that discussion, the topic itself, is something that we can have an entire session of this program discussing, because
shall we allow our viewers to
yes I said that earlier. Is anyone raising up his or her hand?
No, not yet. Anyway, the important thing is, you see, the children-parents relationship and the way we abuse or we neglect or abuse our children, it's something that a lot of time it's easy for us to slip into it. It's easy for us to just get into it without actually intending to do that. So the example you gave of maybe somebody your child, who has now become an adult, who is no longer a young person or a teenager, but now a full-grown adult who is married to another person. But as far as you are concerned, you still see them as, your children. It's your child. It's still a child. So whether we Yorubas, we have the saying that no matter how big a child is, he is still a child to the parents. So for that reason, we want to poke our nose. We want to show that, yes, we are loving. We are not neglecting our children. We're supporting them from when they were little till they are teenagers, and now they are adults, they are married, and we're still supporting them in their homes. And our attempt not to be neglectful leads to stress for the children, because they start having issues in their home. And because they are having issues in their home, it becomes stressful for them. And when you have stress, obviously your emotion is connected to stress level. And so you can have a level of emotional abuse. But like I said, you see, I think that's a topic that we might at a future date actually fully discuss. But when we talk about let's even look at the ones when young people are still young people. Even before they go and get married and you start looking at their marital life, some parents, they want to correct the failure of the child rearing stage when their children are now married. Do you understand? So the love you have not shown to the child when the child was still very young, when the kind of support you have not given to that child when it was growing up, you now feel that, now that my child has become something, and you're beginning to realize it, I didn't give so much attention, and now you want to do it when they are adults, they are fully grown. So it becomes problematic because you have not devised. Ordinarily, if you have developed a very good rapport with your children growing up, a lot of times you would not need to interfere in their marital life, because you would have this relationship where they feel confidence to come to you, talk to you. You have a method of advising such that it is between you and your child, and it doesn't affect their partner or their home. The values, the love you have shown to them is something they can transfer to other people. But they say, if you don't have something, how can you give it to the other person? So if you have not loved or rear your child the way you should rear them, definitely they will start having problems. I'm not saying all marital problems is because parents did not give love. Do you understand? But there are those who are like that. So really, in terms of abuse, neglect, emotional, unconscious emotional abuse, parents need to be 100% conscious of parenting. We need as parents to be regularly checking ourselves and regularly checking our relationship with our children. Are we doing it right? And because emotional abuse is not something that is usually very easily detectable, so it's something that gradually, comes to play. Neglect sometimes is deliberate, but a lot of time it's not deliberate, and we need to check ourselves and be sure we are not neglecting our duties towards our children.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Wow, am I there? So sorry, I had issues. Also, like in the olden days, my mom, for example, her father didn't send the female children to school. They believe they are not going to, they are not going to be successful as the boys, or maybe they're going to go to their husband's house and they won't be useful to them in the future. That still happens in some backgrounds today, denying their daughters of good education, and even sometimes sex education. So this affects, it has a long-term effects on the children, where they feel they don't even have nothing to do with. Some of them, I have a friend who feels that, okay, her father did not even send her to school. She did not even have she did not benefit anything from him. So there's no reason why she's going to take care of her father. So have you got any, or maybe you have any opinion, or you see, or is there any advice that you can give to parents who still believe, although it is not that common, but there's still some people who still believe that female children are not necessary, they don't even deserve to be sent, to be given education in the first place. Do you have any advice or any opinion or any experience on that to share with us on that?
Okay, I didn't catch most of that because I quickly took one of these little children to the
I
toilet.
said in the olden days, most parents believed that female children shouldn't be sent to school, shouldn't be given education, except maybe domestic domestic work or something like that.
Yeah.
Domestic training.
And that still happens till date.
Yes.
Hello?
I think it's just like a misconception in Africa that female children cannot be useful for them in their old age. So they believe it's only the men, and this is something that is very traditional. But I believe in this modern age, people have stopped that habit of not educating the female children anymore, because
some people are still doing it.
We now know that female, they are equally intelligent as male. They can go to school, they can even succeed more than their male counterparts. So it's no more a problem in Africa today. So, and okay, me, for example, my mom still tells me that when I was born, the day I was born, and they showed her, that, oh, congratulations, it's a girl, because I'm the fifth girl. She told me that she cried and cried and cried, like, girl again. Like, what will I tell my husband when I, So No, but I believe that's 30, 40, 50 years ago. Things have changed. People no longer worry whether it's, people no longer worry whether it's male or female. Although in every family, they'll prefer to have both gender, especially boys. You want to say something?
Well, definitely things are improving. People are becoming more enlightened, and they are becoming less averse to having female children. But the truth is that it's still happening. It is still happening. And the thing is also, it's not only in Africa. There are different regions of the world where this is the case, where women have having a girl child is seen as, and how that is related to emotional abuse and neglect is very important for us to highlight in this discussion. You find that a lot of young girls, a lot of female children suffer emotional abuse and neglect just because parents feels that, oh, I have a girl child and she doesn't have much value. So they don't put value on them. In Indian, up till today, it's still an issue. You will hardly see an Indian setup where, there's not always an attempt to try to highlight the importance of the girl child, of the female, because the female are regarded as a burden. Because when you have them, you have to pay dowry to get them married. You take care of them, you send them to school and all that. So it's it's cultural, but it's cut across the globe. It's all about the misogyny that is very, very rampant around the world. So it's not just in Africa, even in the developed countries. We call them developed countries because some of these things have now been overlooked. Now you have the Queen as the Queen of England for how many years now? I think she's going to be doing 70th anniversary.
She did it already.
About it's still an ongoing celebration. But there was a time, even in the European country, when you have a female, you cannot, they can't ascend certain position, even ascend the throne, but they have overcome it a long time ago. But a lot of other parts of the region of the world are still going through that process where girl child, female are neglected. They are not only neglected, they are emotionally abused. They are told they are not worthy to live. When somebody has the first, second, third, by the time they are having the third female child, they start abusing both the mother and the children. They start seeing the children, why did you even come to the world at all? I mean, what can be more hurtful, more emotionally hurtful than telling a child that you give birth to that, why did you even come into the world at all? And people say this to children just because they are girl child. In cities of the world, we are overcoming those things and you don't have such discussion. But when you go into the inner towns, you find out that this belief is still something that is rampant, and it's greatly, it's one of the most damaging mental health situation that results from those kind of emotional abuse of particularly young girls and teenage girls and teenage women. So it's very important for us to now talk about what are those things that we can do as parents to actually stop emotionally abusing our children.
Sorry, Sister Rashida. I think I have a message that somebody sent to me. Let's talk about how not to abuse our children. No more time. Sorry.
No. It's actually the same thing that I'm going into, which is why what are the things we can do to actually stop putting our children in situation where
we're still going to go through that. Yes, that's solutions.
The solution. So I think one of the important things to do as parents is to always ask ourselves questions about our parenting methods. So you should always ask, have I done that right? A lot of time we feel because we've become adults, then we've become so perfect and we know it all. Most times we don't know it all. we also have emotions, and we can sometimes make mistakes. So if you've handled a situation in a way that you shouldn't handle it, it's always good if you reflect. You'll be able to identify it, and then you can find a way to rectify it, to rectify the situation. Then the second thing I would say before I allow other people to talk is that when we are parenting, it's very, very important for us to make sure that we listen to our children, particularly Africans. We don't listen enough to our children. We feel children are to be seen, not to be heard. The same way we feel women are to be seen, not to be heard. You feel that children are there. I mean, who are you to talk? Some of us, I remember, you'll be told that, look at, he's even looking at me as he's talking to me. What? Come on, put your head down. Stop looking at me like that. You understand? It's good to teach our children manners, but it is wrong to abuse them and take away their self-confidence, their ability to express their views, their ability to talk with us. It is very, very wrong. And it is something that, we may not know it, but it defines who they become as adults. It defines, some of us struggle. I'm not saying that some of us struggle to actually get out of that situation where I can't say anything. And and the world has become a global village where you are open to anybody, anywhere around the world. And people are talking, you're not able to speak up for yourself because you've learned not to speak up for yourself, because somebody would always shut you down. Let's stop shutting down our children. It has the most grievous impact on their emotions growing up. Now, I'm not saying that a child should be allowed to become a shenanigan, should be allowed to become somebody who just say anything and behave anything. We should always, it's our responsibility also to caution, but it's important to maintain balance in the way we are trying to help our children to learn values and help them to become better human beings.
Thank you.
We've got somebody's hand raised,
Oh, I can't see it.
So I've allowed them to talk. If you
okay, please, we're waiting.
Ayo back, Yeti. That's okay. If you can unmute and talk.
Hello, good morning. It was just at the point that you were talking about, stop shutting up your kids. Mostly every now and then I try to talk to my kids. And recently I was talking to one of them. It's the one that is most quiet amongst them all. And I'll be like, oh, he's the one that doesn't give me so much trouble.
Is that Abdurrashid? Sorry.
Yes, it is Abdurashid. That you're right. Yeah,
that's my
son. Your son. So he was having some trouble. I was now trying to get to the bottom of what was going on, and then he didn't want to say it. And I'm like, "What is going on? Why don't you want to talk?" And then he just bursts out crying, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And I hugged him. Then I now said, "What brought that? Or what is going on?" And it was because he felt like he's scared of being rejected. I'm like, why? Oh. Why are you scared of being rejected? In fact, at some point, so many things is running in my head. What is he about to tell me? But then I had to calm myself down. What is it? You are still my son. There is no way I will reject you. What is going on? You know what? It's because we are always shushing him whenever he has his own opinion. Just because his opinion doesn't agree with us. And he was like, is it only me? He said, even his brothers. I'm like, oh my God. Imagine. Yeah. Imagine. I was like, oh dear Lord. And then I had to now explain things to him that wasn't intentional at all, but we'll try and be conscious of that. And I said to him, if that happens again, can you please let me know? So that we can correct it. Yes. Imagine. So that was not intentional. It was just because we didn't agree on the same thing. That was all. I said, well, in life, it's not everyone that will agree with you. But you need to be able to speak up and say your own mind. State your own facts anyway. Don't let anyone shut you up.
Exactly.
So honestly, that lets me say like, okay, you have to be more cautious now. But in a nutshell, though, there's no perfect parenting, honestly speaking. We are all still learning. Even our parents were still learning. So I think just being able to talk to our kids every now and then will let us know where we are getting it wrong, what we need to adjust on, and all that. That's just my submission. I had to come in before I forget that. Thank you so much for giving me that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I think do we have anyone from our viewers who is willing to make contribution of I've got questions? Okay, if you don't have any, Sister Sharifa, have you got any take-home advice for us? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just thinking, what I want to say is if a child is already abused in any way, we have to be able to know, we have to know the signs to know whether they are abused, and so that we can seek professional help for them. But there are ways in which you can also, ways to prevent abuse, being happen to them. And it's all what we have been talking about by constantly listening to them and making sure that we are available at the time of their needs, not only their basic needs, but also their emotional needs. So I pray that God will help all of us to be the best parents we could be to our.
So I would advise that we encourage our children to talk, even when they're not talking. Ask them questions. Let them have the confidence in us. Let them feel free to talk to us anytime they intend to do so. As we have seen, we have exceeded. Oh, we're still within the time because we started a bit late. But then.
Yeah, but before we go, there's something I just want to add about neglect. As we have seen from everything that, or some of the contributions we made, sometimes neglecting or abusing children is not something that we do consciously, although it's a negative thing, but it's not something, a lot of time we do it unknowingly. So I think it's very important that, as parents, we make it a point of duty to ensure that once in a while, we just call our children. It doesn't have to be until they show some signs of being in trouble, or when they talk in a particular way and we feel they are rude, or just occasionally, let's ask them how they are. Let's ask them. Don't let us get too carried away with our everyday work, everyday engagement with other people that we do. And not only, the children that we gave birth to, all those children that are around us. I mean, the prophet said a smile is charity, right? So how much more giving your child a smile in the morning and going to them and saying, how are you this morning? Hope all is good. It's not just about you. I do that. That's why I'm saying it. Get up, it's time for you to go to school. Go and, even sometimes I don't go to the room to wake them. I'll just pick my phone, everything. We are all now in whatever. I feel now they are teenagers, they are grown up, and then I just pick my phone and I keep ringing them because I'm too tired to get off the bed. I'm like, okay, it's time. It's already 6 p.m. You need to go and pray, and then you need to go and get set for school. And the child gets up, he prays, he does everything. And I didn't even see him till he left for school. I mean, that's something that it happens. We get to some point that we feel, oh yeah, I've done so much now. They are at that stage where they can take care of themselves. Let them do it. I'll just give minimal, whatever. Fine, maybe when we are tired and we need a break ourselves. But it's very important for us to always be conscious that we should ask our children. It's important. We should ask those young people around us how they're feeling. And we should always look out, for them and look out for their interests.
Thank you so much. So I thank everyone for giving us your time. I mean, our viewers. Thank you. Thank you. So bye for now.
Thank you, everyone.